Josh always doing this, so maybe CJ, you should come just to know. It's a little nerve-wracking. Miss Alexis Houston is joining us on the Zoom today.
Oh, cool. For the name change item.
She got about three
Yes.
things.
Yeah, she's a popular attendee at your committee. The recording and the YouTube always prompts a message, so we're just going to that for the screen.
Okay, I'd like to call the Human Resources and Public Works Committee meeting to order. Could we get approval of the agenda?
Yeah,
Check
I'd like
it
to
out. Right?
approve the agenda as set.
Support. It's been moved to approve the agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Nays? I mean, any nays? No, there isn't. It's approved. Our next item is call to the public. Do we have any public on the internet?
There is not at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Our first item is consider approving the purchase of a Bobcat S62 skid steer at the total cost of $10,931 to be covered by 2% funds from the fall 2023 from Ellen's Equipment, and authorize the board chair to sign the same. We have Jake Borton, our MRF director. Hi, Jake.
Good morning. What we've done is that what we had, and what I had indicated or laid groundwork for last year is that we would trade this piece of equipment every year. Keeping it down, basically what it would do is it would keep our trade very high, our trade-in value very high, keeping our expense for the year on that piece of equipment very low. Tried to get quotes from other companies, New Holland, John Deere. None of them had an awful lot of interest in getting me a quote. They said that they may get me one, but I told them I was working with a timeline. Their indication and what I'm getting back from the salesman is that they've met their quotas for the year, so they're not really interested in giving us that high of a trade value. So
Wow.
They were looking at 35,000 at best. Even though Ellen's does have New Holland, they have another source with Bobcat. And they were willing, Bobcat, they're trying to bump that brand in this area. So they're willing to give us the $40,000 trade-in value on the old skid steer and be able to keep us into a new one and continue to do that to give them a piece of equipment that they can then turn around and sell at a good profit to them and back into the market to be able to have a used piece of equipment to be able to resell. So
One thing that helped me understand too is that, can you talk, Jake, about the warranty that we buy? Because that's really what is valuable when we give it back after a year, right?
yeah, the standard warranty on these pieces, on whether it's Bobcat, New Holland, John Deere, standard warranty is either 2 years or 2,000 hours. We put somewhere around 1,200 hours a year, 12 to 1,400 hours a year on this piece of equipment. So by trading it every year, we stay within warranty, which keeps our labor costs down on any repairs. Obviously, you still have to pay for labor and parts on, as far as oil changes, things of that nature. But any major expense, if there was to be a major equipment failure on it, that would fall under warranty. So that keeps us so that we just limit our expenses on that side of things. So.
Such a critical piece too, right?
And it is
In
very
the
much a
process.
critical piece for what we do out there. It's a very integral part of the operation. And, and all things considered, basically around $11,000 a year on a, so to speak, a rental that's really a fairly inexpensive rental for the year. So. So my recommendation on it would be to trade the New Holland skid steer in a new skid steer price of $50,931, trade-in value of $40,000, leaving a balance of $10,931. We have 2% funds that we can use to cover that cost, to be able to not have any hit on the 24 budget. So that, like I said, it really ends up being a very inexpensive rental for a year. So,
I can remember when I started, you had repair bills bigger than that on, skid steers that we held on to too long. So
Yep.
this is really a good program.
Any questions or comments?
No, they answered mine with the warranty, so. All good. Consider approving the purchase of a Bobcat S62 skid steer at the total cost of $10,931 to be covered by 2% funds from the fall of 2023 from Ellen's Equipment Incorporated, and authorize board chair to sign the same.
Support. It's been moved and supported to move item 4 to the work and regular session of the county commission next week. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. The ayes carry. Item 4 will be forwarded to our next week's meetings. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jake. Okay, our next item is consider approving the My Sale Partner Agreement for Union Township buy-up of 6-inch resolution imagery with the state of Michigan through its Department of Technology Management and Budget Center for Shared Solutions, and authorize the board chair to sign the same. And we have Tim Neoport here, Community Development Director, to give us the background on this item. Hi, Tim.
Good morning. I apologize. I left my cheaters in the car, so I'm gonna.
Oh.
Borrow mine?
No, I think I can get through it.
Yeah.
I think I got this one down up here.
Oh, okay.
So the My Sale program is a program that we got into, and I believe it was 2000 with the state of Michigan. Basically is what it is it is a program in which we collaborate and share data back and forth. So we provide them with some data. And they provide us with some data. The data that they provide us with is these orthophotography flights. They fly different regions of the state of Michigan at different times in different years. And in 2024, they're looking to fly Isabella County. We no longer pay for that. We purchased our first flight, I believe it was in 2009. We purchased a 15 flight. We jumped into the My Sale program in 2020 and got that paid for by the state of Michigan just through this partnership. This 2024 flight, there's no cost to us. Again, they'll be flying it, they'll be providing that data to us. What they do is they provide the data at a 12-inch resolution. 12-inch resolution basically means we can see something 12 inches in size on the ground from this photography. That's good enough for our rural areas and out county areas. More urbanized areas and more populated areas where we got water and sewer and things like that, they tend to need a little better resolution. They need to see manhole covers. They need to see water covers in locations that are a little smaller than 12-inch. So Union Township and the city both have bought up several times in the past. And Union Township is wanting to buy up this time to 6-inch resolution as well. To do so, basically they pay an additional, there's a fee, because we're the partner with the state of Michigan, everything goes through us.
Pass through or?
Yeah, basically we're a pass through because we're the one withholding the partnership. Union Township manager Mark Stuhldreyer has provided me, we had email conversations back and forth. He provided me with an email that basically said, yes, we're in, just invoice us. Let's get this thing moving forward.
Great.
So I'm bringing this forward because we need to sign, have the chairman sign it so that we can purchase the buy-up of Union Township. I believe the cost is $9,860 or. No, I'm sorry.
$680, you're so close.
$9600.80. I had the numbers all right. So they've agreed to that. We just need this signed so that the state of Michigan can get it with their vendor. The flight doesn't happen until spring. It's typically a leaf off activity so that we can see the ground through the trees.
All right.
So they'll fly it later this spring. The processing and stuff will bring it to us probably late summer to fall time. And then we will be able to turn that back over to Union Township at that time. And basically what I did last time was I invoiced Union Township out. Union Township paid us. I held the money when the state of Michigan vendor charged them. I went ahead and paid the state of Michigan out. So it was just basically a wash through of those funds.
And a great deal for the township, I would imagine.
Absolutely.
If they would have had to go do this on their own.
Yeah, this is
I think it'd be a
probably
lot more
about
expensive.
$30,000 probably to them if they wanted to do this themselves.
Wow.
So they got quite a savings. My understanding is the city of Mount Pleasant is wanting to do it as well. The city of Mount Pleasant is trying to do it themselves through the state. The state's encouraging them to come through us because we're the one with the partnership. So I may be bringing something back with the city or they may be going on their own. I'm not real sure. I know they have interest. I think they have interest in 3-inch resolution, even going a step above where Union is, which they did. I believe they did that in 2020 as well. And you look at the 3 images side by side, our 12-inch, the Union 6-inch and the city 3-inch stuff. You can clearly see the differences. The magnification and the resolution is incredible. We just don't need it in the out county area since we don't have the sewer and water we need for it.
Well, before the MySail program, you wrote 2% grants
Correct.
to pay the cost of the flyover or help with it.
Yep.
And I just looked up, I know you've got some left. You're just holding that in case this program goes away, or maybe there's an upgrade for us someday?
No, with the 2%, with that 2% grant, we put in equipment and hardware as well.
Excellent.
And so this year we had budgeted to replace our plotter. I don't remember what's left in there, maybe about $7,000,
Well,
$3,000, was it? Maybe it was.
I'm looking, unfortunately, the report I pulled is not very current. And this was as of April of last year, 16,000.
Okay, I think we're a little less than that.
We should use something.
I know that one of our plans was because we're no longer flying and we did build that 2% request with hardware and stuff. It allows us to make these other purchases. The plotter is, a $7,000 to $12,000 purchase this year that we had budgeted for, and we were looking to use the remainder or pretty close to the remainder of our 2%. It might have been there's $3,000 left after the purchase of
That makes sense.
being at 16. I can't remember.
Yep, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Thank you.
Yep.
Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
that was written in 2008, so that's
Mhm.
16 years,
That's-
15
yeah.
years ago already.
They saw us
2%.
through, didn't
Yeah,
they?
exactly,
Wow.
exactly.
Hmm,
Okay,
Thank you.
consider approving the MySail partner agreement for the Union Township buy-up of 6-inch resolution imagery with the state of Michigan through its Department of Technology Management and Budget Center for Shared Solutions, and authorize the board chair to sign this thing.
Support. It's been moved and supported to move item 5 to the work and regular sessions of the county commission next week. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. The ayes carry. The item 5 will be forwarded to next week's county commission meetings. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Be
Jim.
careful with all that extra white
No.
stuff in the ground.
Oh, okay, you too.
You knew it was coming.
Yeah,
Enjoy your day.
sooner or later. Thank you.
Okay. Our next item is consider approving resolution 2024-2 addressing Wademan Mill Pond Lake level expenses and authorize the board chair to sign the same. We have Robert Willoughby here today,
Good morning, Bob.
the drain commissioner, to break down this item for us. Good morning.
Good morning. Being the drain commissioner, I'm responsible for the dam inspections for Stevenson Lake, that one, and Lake Isabella. Just oversee and make sure they get done. And in our last inspection, we found a leak in the berm to the east of the dam. And there's a ditch that they apparently used when they built the thing back in, I think that got washed out in the flood of '86. And it was all rebuilt a few years later. I don't know exactly when.
We don't have anything to do with
Hmm.
building that cost.
No, here, let me explain what happened. tribe paid for the whole thing. So there was
But
never.
whose responsibility was it?
Hmm?
Whose responsibility was it to pay for it?
It,
Is that our responsibility?
it's not a drain, it's not a county drain, so it was. The tribe paid for the whole thing, that's all.
You see my question?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
get that, I
Good
get that we're
question.
lucky they paid for it, but if they didn't pay for it, who's on the hook for it? That's kind of what I'm.
Well, that's why we're asking for a resolution here, because we actually, the drainage or we'll have to set up a special assessment district. There was never an assessment district.
Because the
last
tribe
time,
paid the whole thing.
because they paid for the whole
Sure,
thing, so we
sure.
didn't have to assess anybody for it. And
Well, if you have the power to assess, I think there's my answer about whose responsibility is to pay for it.
Yeah.
Cause you wouldn't have the authority to assess for the expense if it wasn't our responsibility. So, okay, that
but
answers that.
one little dilemma is the project is entirely in Nottawa Township, but the special assessment district will actually go over into Sherman because of that pond on the west side of Woodruff Road. Woodruff Road's a line. That area will.
Oh, right, that's always been problematic about stuff.
So we'll have two townships. We got a meeting scheduled here in a couple weeks, of, getting the ball rolling on the whole thing. Sounds like the tribe is very willing to, they're gonna come to the meeting.
Nice.
But yeah, like I say, we don't know yet. If they pay for the entire thing, we'll, same thing, but if we have to set up a special assessment district, we need the county resolution. Get that process started.
Gotcha.
It may not amount to anything.
That's not what this resolution does.
What does it do? That's,
It doesn't set up a special assessment district, does it?
well,
It,
no, that's just so we can,
it gives you authority to spend up to $10,000 to fix
get-
this,
to get-
but it doesn't say that it's.
to get it started.
It does mention the
All costs
lake level special assessment district to the extent not otherwise funded, reimbursed by.
reimbursed by a lake level special assessment district, okay? So in the meantime, where would the money come from then? Your general fund drain office?
I don't know that yet either.
Because it's
Like I
not
say,
a drain, right?
Right,
I'm
right.
meeting with my legal counsel
Oh,
and
okay.
all, people next week.
right.
I don't know. I don't want to give an answer that's wrong. So
We'll have to involve the treasurer's office in this too, right? Because we'll have to probably create a new fund.
that somewhere.
Yep. So just
Like-
make sure we get involved as soon as possible on that before you spend the money.
Oh.
If you're authorized to spend the money, before you spend the money, Rob, please, thank you. You're right, Chairman, it's in there at the end. If it'll be reimbursed.
Okay, any more questions on this super complicated issue?
I have one clarifying
Yeah.
thing I'd like Drain Commissioner Willoughby to please work with me on. When we did our renewal for MMRMA for our property and liability insurance, MMRMA now has dam coverage, right? It's something that they added in the last couple of years because some situations they had in other counties. When we approached you at that time, you said, I'm only responsible for lake levels, not anything like repair of the dam. To me, this looks different than that. So I would
Well-
like to get you or your attorney involved with MMRMA to make sure that we've got appropriate coverage for what is our responsibility, right?
Yeah, I'm not, the lake level on that one was actually set. I don't know how we did it.
Okay,
I think Bob Bean was the drain commissioner back when that was built. Or Gary, one of the two. The lake level's the lake level. There's no change in it now with that structure they have there now. That's the lake.
purpose of the structure.
But,
I think it's important though to clarify because it's just making me feel like we just need to clarify that we have the right coverage. It couldn't hurt, especially if there's ever an incident. I'll get you in contact with them. Thanks, Mr. Chairman, for letting me have that conversation.
I'll get you a note on that meeting we're having. Fall. I've got to have both township supervisors. The driver will be there. Pete Laurence, who's an engineer for, I don't know.
There's a specific process for it, right?
Yep.
Yep. Your drain code spells that all out.
Spicer did the dam inspection. Spicer, I've got, gonna do the, you know, like I say, they're not gonna jump in and do things until they know it's gonna get paid for.
Wow.
This is step one. Good job.
Okay. So we can go forward.
I think so.
Consider approving resolution 2024-02, addressing Wakeman Mill Pond lake level expenses, and authorize the board chair to sign the same.
Support. It's been moved and supported to move item 6 to the work and regular session of the county commission next week. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. The ayes carry. Item 6 will be forwarded to next week's county commission meetings. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Hey, Bob, have a good day.
Hmm?
Have a good day.
I'll try.
Okay, our next item is consider approving resolution 2024-02 addressing, whoops, sorry. Our next item is consider approving the DBA name change for the account with Avalon Incorporated from Isabella County to Isabella County Parks, and authorize the board chair to sign the same. And we have Alexis Hanson, the Parks and Recreation Director, with us here to provide her background. Hi, Alexis.
Good
Good morning. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I was attempting to make it there and traffic accidents and the road conditions just got in my way. So hopefully this works out just fine. So background, back in October of 2022, the County Board of Commissioners approved a new reservation system for Isabella County Parks, which is called CAMIS. And at that time, with the new reservation system, it required contract with a credit card processing company. And so that process played out. And in November of 2022, the board approved a contract with Elevon Inc., who is the credit card processor. So if someone goes onto CAMIS and makes a reservation at one of our campgrounds, their credit card information gets pushed out to Elevon, who processes that and deposits the funds to us, is kind of how that works. So what's been happening is when campground users get their statement, their credit card statement for park reservations, the vendor is showing up as Isabella County rather than Isabella County Parks, or something that notifies them, oh yeah, that was my camping. And so we've noticed that some folks who maybe don't recognize that transaction and they think, oh, I didn't do any business with the county, they're disputing their charge, which is then triggering a process where we have to go through these channels to kind of prove that the charge was legitimate, and it takes staff time and extra paperwork to get that. And sometimes there's a threat of potential fees if we can't prove that the charge was legitimate. And so Miranda Walker was kind of looking into it and working on this with Elevon to figure out what was the best course of action to kind of mitigate these disputes. And they recommended that we simply change the name on the account to Isabella County Parks, and that would kind of give people that clarity, oh, this was my campground reservation. If you look at the attached form in the packet, the language is very much clear that it's just a name change. Nothing else about the agreement that's already been in place with Elevon is changing. The fees don't change. The account type doesn't change. We would simply be changing the name that appears on the credit card statement of the purchaser from Isabella County to Isabella County Parks. And so there's a form that goes along with that change that would need to be signed by chairman.
Okay, that seems pretty straightforward. Man, all the little details are so important, right?
Exactly. And I think it's good for our park users to have that confidence in their transaction. They know exactly what they're looking at and exactly where the charge came from. And then it just makes the process more efficient for park staff and saves time on our end.
Got it. Any other questions or comments on this item?
No.
Okay.
Consider approving the DBA name change for the count with Elvon Incorporated from Isabel County to Isabel County Parks and authorize board chair to sign the same.
Support. It's been moved and supported to move item 7 to the work and regular sessions of the county commission next week. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. The ayes carry. Item 6 will be forwarded to next week's county commission meetings. Okay. Our next item, still with Alexis, is consider approval of the resolution 2024-01 adopting 2024-2028 Isabella County Recreation Master Plan and authorize the board chairperson to sign the same. Okay, what do we have here, Alexis?
Okay, so at the end of December of 2023, the previous Isabella County Parks master plan expired. And so obviously in order to maintain continuity of operations and to have clear goals and objectives, we want to have a master plan in place regardless, but also to have a current non-expired plan in place with the Michigan Department of Natural Resources keeps us eligible for some pretty critical grant opportunities that allow funding for our department. And just to highlight how critical that is, if you think about, in 2023, we received a $319,000 Spark grant. The recent Meridian Park acquisition was funded through the Michigan Department of Natural Resources in part. And so throughout the Department of Parks history, you've seen some pretty significant projects being funded because we have the eligibility with the DNR to apply for their grants. And in order to do that, really, it's pretty straightforward. We just have to have a master plan on file that's current and meets their guidelines. So starting in August, we started working with PM Blau, the consultant, to draft an up-to-date comprehensive recreation master plan for the county. And they've done a wonderful job of leading us through that process. So we started out collecting public input. We toured all of the park facilities, looking at the facilities themselves, assessing them for ADA accessibility, looking at what projects we might want to complete in the next 5 years. Some of them are very practical, just improvement projects. Some of them lean a little more towards, yeah, we'd love to do this if the funding ever became available, but it may or may not happen in this 5 years. And so the result of all that is, oh, and then also I do want to mention importantly that and is also currently available to the public. There's a 30-day window where they can give us feedback on this draft plan. So there's been a lot of public input opportunities involved in crafting this plan. So it's turned out now, I think as of this morning, the most current version of the draft is like up to 83 pages with attachments. And that basically outlines a description of our community, a description of our administrative structure as far as how we get things done at the county parks level, the goals and objectives for our department, and then breaking it down into an action plan of potential projects that we may see. It's a pretty in-depth plan. I can go into detail on any questions that you may have, but to go through the whole 83-page thing right now would be a little exhaustive. However, I can say our goals are broad and they allow for a variety of different things. And the goals hit on both aspects of natural resource protection, improvement of recreation facilities, and importantly, I think the 6th goal in the plan is dedicated to the financial stability of the department and focusing on ways to maintain our operations and protect our financial stability going into the future. So we did look at kind of all management aspects, not just the parks themselves, but how do we keep our park system operating at a maximum level that serves the community. So any questions on all of that information?
Any?
No, no, all good.
I know
Yeah.
Commissioner is also on the, and so he was at our meeting last week where we went into this a little bit more in depth, and the Parks Commission passed a resolution to recommend this for adoption to the county board.
We went over it last week.
In that case, could I get a motion?
Yep, you can. Consider approving resolution 2024-01, adopting the 2024-2028 through 2028 Isabel County Recreation Master Plan, and authorize the board chair to sign the same.
Support. It's been moved and supported to move item 8 to the regular and work session of the county commission next week. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. The ayes carry. Item 8 will be forwarded to next week's county commission meetings. Thanks, Alexis.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alexis. Be safe out there.
Thanks. You too.
Okay, any announcements?
Go blue.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, and a call to the public, any public?
There is not at this time, Mr. Chairman.
That being the case, I'll adjourn the meeting of the Public Works and Human Resources Committee at this time.